make that clear, I don't do mentoring. I don't do it. For some reason, this man's managed to get me to be his mentor. I don't understand why. I'm still trying to work it out now. But it's probably because of his perseverance and his persistence. And then at the end, if we get a chance, I'll show you some closing techniques. So without fail, what I want you to do, I'm going to give you a quote, and then I want to visualise on where you want to go. So when one endeavours to follow one's dream, our sense of reality becomes an illusion, and the dream itself becomes the life. I'll say it again. When one endeavours to follow one's dream, our sense of reality becomes an illusion, and the dream itself becomes the life. So what I'd like to do on that note is just close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to visualize on your priority dream, where it is that you see yourself achieving. I want you to cleanse everything from your mind. I want you to forget about the turbulence that's going on in your life. And this exercise I want you to practice every single morning and every single evening, or whenever you get a moment of stress or anything else on your journey. Focus on it. Feel it, as Dean would say. Right? Lift it. I want you to center it as the most focal point in your mind. Visualize it. Feel it. Touch it. Take yourself there spiritually. So launch yourself towards it. Take yourself there mentally. Impregnate it in your mind. Now all I'm going to do now is show you how to get there physically. Okay? Good. Alright? So we're all on point. We're all feeling more relaxed and calm. Good. So we'll start with the vision. The vision should be generally projected over 10 or 20 years. Okay? 10 or 20 years. That's what you should be looking at within your vision. There's generally a priority of goals that you're looking at. So what you need to do is write down all your goals and then think of how you've got to sell those goals and prioritise them. So you can have 10, 20 goals there. Doesn't matter. But think of how you've got to sell them, because that's where you should prioritise them. It's no sense if you've got to run a multi-million-dollar marketing advertising campaign, because some goals will take that you're going to make that your first goal, because now you've got to go and find the million. Right? And some goals will take that. So you need to think about it. And then I want you to then break down those goals into shorter 5-year strategies. But take the first one. All right? Don't do them all in one go. But take the first one as an exercise when you're starting out. Eventually you'll get to work them out as you go along. And you prioritise it, and we'll call that your mission. Okay? This is, as Dean and Daniel were saying, your purpose, or your why. By the way, why is a letter with a very crooked tail? It can come out and lick you like a scorpion if you're not careful. So when you understand the why, make sure you define it carefully. Because just saying why, and that's why, is not enough. You've got to be able to fill the cup up. Understand that. When you're going out as individuals, bear in mind, when you're bringing people around to deal with, they also have whys. So be able to balance that. Okay, so now you've got your mission, you've got your vision, you've got your mission. Where most people start you is at your objectives. Now I want you to take that the first 5-year goal by priority, and break it down into yearly objectives. Because see what mostly happens when we have these goals and these visions, we generally tend to keep it up there in our head, and it's all clouded. And what we need to do is spread out our thinking. So it becomes less that we have to do, not the more. Because the more you've got to do, the less you're going to get done. And we've got a way we get excited as entrepreneurs, and we tend to go ahead, and we want to do so many things, and then we don't get it done, we beat ourselves up for it. So what if I do one thing a month if my strategy is over 10 or 20 years? Okay? So let's think about it from that perspective, taking the pressure off yourself. So your yearly objectives, which most business plans start, what are your objectives, what are your goals, what are your aims? But they don't really bring the spiritual factor into it, the holistic thinking. the being. 90% of what we are is in existence. We exist, 90% of us spiritually. It's only 10% physical. They tell you use 10% of your minds. My argument to you, if you have a car, engine or machine and you're only using 10% of it, is it functional? So how are you going to function on using 10% of your minds? Alright? And bear in mind, you've got to sell to people now, who are also seeking to use that 10%. That 10%, most people are using running at 4 or 5%. So what is it in you that they're going to buy into? Because that's who you're selling most of the time. So let's define you. When you know you, who you are, then we can start selling it. Who I am, where I want to go, what I want to achieve. And this is what we're grounded here, by you going forwards and then working yourselves backwards. So now we have the objectives. So we take the first year of the objective, the mission, the yearly objective. So now we know we're doing yearly. And then we break it down into individual targets. What we're going to achieve month to month. If it's one thing, half a thing, a little thing, a big thing, don't worry about it. Just do it. Okay? But make sure you sell it to yourself. Okay? You're only as good as yesterday's business. Yesterday's results. If you're not getting results, where are you? So don't oversaturate yourself. I've got to go and do these 10 things in 1 week. It's not going to happen. Alright? You do one thing and you get 10 things done, great. In the Caribbean there's a saying. People say we're lazy. But in your country, you do 10 things to get 1 thing done. In our country, we do 1 thing to get 10 things done. Bit of reverse psychology. Then I want you to take your first month, which is going to be your targets. I want you to break it down again into how you can achieve those targets on a weekly basis. What you need to do to achieve them weekly, which becomes your rota. Your rota. Okay? So let's keep that in mind. Alright? And then you take your first week, of your first month, of your first year, of your first 5 years, of your first 20 years, and then you break it down again into daily activities, which becomes your task. What you need to do to achieve what you're doing every single day. Task. How many of you know what your targets are, your sales targets are? Right, it's about right. It's about 30% of the room. Yeah. So how do you expect to make money if you don't know what your targets are? If you don't know what you've got to sell to achieve your goal, how do you know what it is? If it's £1 million, break down £1 million over 10 years. That's a financial goal. It may not be the only goal. I believe in 3 types of goals: social, human, and financial. I won't go too much into that today. But understand what I'm saying. So it's vision, mission, objectives, rota, task, daily. So everything you do day to day evolves over your overall vision. Alright? Now, you're working conventionally. A lot of you are looking at marketing, right? Is that what you want to do? You want to market, right? Have you got the money to spend on marketing? At least 50% of marketing budget that is spent out there is wasted. Another probably 30 or 40% that haven't got a clue what's working and what hasn't. Do you have that kind of money? Or do you need to sell? So conventional marketing tells you target, inform, market, educated market. Am I wrong or right? Find the target market. Alright? Well, how are you going to do that then? You're going to research it, right? Is that secondary or primary? Right? So you've got to think about it, and it's functional, and it works, but surely balanced, right? Alright, so let's start thinking about it. What about if you come up with an idea and you went out and sold it to people, and people bought into it? Alright? When they buy it, are they clients, potential clients? Right. So when you do that over a period of sort of 4, 5, 6 months, and then you look back and you see what you've converted into business, is that telling you that you have a market or not? If they've bought what you've sold. Yeah. You define what your goals are, you know what your targets are. You're going to buy into that. Buy into the concepts of what you represent. Right? You're selling you. If you don't sell you, no one's going to believe what you've got. Forget the product or the service and how great it is. Yeah, and a lot of people don't tell people how great it is. How many years you got? 2. How many? How many years? Someone say 6. How many years you got? 2. 2. How many mouths? 1. from now I want to use them in that order. Okay? I want to educate people. I want you to then educate people and define your markets. We're looking at refining it. And when you understand who your market is by the potential of sales that you've created, I want you to inform that market and then define that as your target market. Well, Dean was talking about niche. That's why I said why is a crooked term. Because it comes around and bites you in the back. Because you go out there, yeah, I'm going to do it, I'll get my why, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, bang, bang, bang. No, 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 no. And you come back feeling like, no. You're so God, you're sitting down at home, you know, you're at the desk and you'll sit down and you do this. Who's ever been here? They've all been there, right? Yeah? Why have we been there? Right? And you don't want to get back up, right? And then you get another burst of inspiration and then you're back again. Another burst, you're back again. It's like a vicious circle, am I wrong or right? Yeah, so let's keep it real. You're individual small business people with big visions. Okay? That's not a crime. But society's not set up for you to do that. So you need to come to understand, if you don't have a way of thinking, a way of practice, what Dean was talking about, the DCC, the discipline, the commitment, the consistency. Okay? I say do or die. The military mentality, a plan or strategy, go into war. Competition is rife. Entrepreneurship is like a fashion tag today. Yeah, especially social entrepreneurship. I'm going to be a social entrepreneur. And we're not letting you into our inner city areas we're taking over. Yeah, because we're going to take over all the bars, all the cafes, and pop, pop. I won't use that language, but you know, see you later. Out you go, and in we come. Regentification. Again. Can you afford a cup of coffee in Costa? I don't think so. We used to cost a little caravan man who was charging 50p. Now they charge you £2.30 for a small little coffee. But here we want to float around with our little Costas. I'm drinking Costa. Same coffee in the bar next door, same coffee going by at Iceland. But hey, it's got a brand on it, right? Where's your brand? What are you selling? How are you resisting that change? I got that. Alright, so let's understand when you're working, time is the conventional way. You target, inform, market, and educate. That's the conventional way. I want you to emit yourself, release yourself, educate people, market to people direct. Go out and do it. Stop thinking about it. Stop talking about it. Do it. Inform them about what you're about. Because if you don't tell them, nobody's going to know. And then define your target market. And I'll finish up on the last one for the first few minutes. You want to sell, right? So everyone's going to look at the selling cycle. Who's under the selling cycle? You speak to a customer, you lead generate and whatever. Who's generating leads right now? Great. How many leads a week? Right, room went quiet. Alright. How many leads do you need to generate a week to make your million? Tell me. Come on, off the cuff.
50.
50?
Yeah.
Is that off the cuff? Why 50? Too long, right?
Yeah, that was my goal.
That's a goal. That's great, but why? It might only be one. But do you understand my point? One at the right price. Because if you're chasing 50, all your energy is going into getting 50. You don't look like mass production to me, darling. You look refined and, you know, polished. Huh? Do you understand? So let's understand what we're talking about here. Potentially, you might just need the right type of client. So understand to say no. When the same way people can say no to you, you say no to them. Because if they're not the right type of client, why are you just doing it? Because you take the money. That money can be getting you into trouble. That's the why with the crooked tail. It's going to bite you. Understand when you're taking an order, that is a relationship being built as a sales relationship. A sales relationship should have longevity. I'm looking at your lifetime value. As Dean was saying earlier, can I build a relationship with you? Is this relationship going to go sour? How much money are you worth to me over a period of years with my visionary activity? It's just about taking the deal. That's all you're thinking about. I'm going to get deals, get deals, get deals. What about what comes afterwards? Customer service, retention, buyer's dissonance, all these factors. So let's play understand when we're rolling it out in our heads what it's really about. Yeah? Now, who practices selling? I'm going to finish on this note because I've got about 2 minutes left. Right, you practice, right? How do you practice?
Seeing clients running through the routine and also reading on the subject.
I didn't say what do you do, how do you practice?
What you practice by doing.
Right, what's the statement question? A right angle question. A probing question. And you want to make money? Let me tell you something, yeah? Would you allow a surgeon to cut you open if he wasn't qualified?
No.
Would you allow a barrister to represent you if he wasn't qualified? But yet still, you wouldn't go and represent your company without sales knowledge, without sales skills, because you think you could just pick up your backside and go out there and talk to people. Eh? The most heightened seasoned profession in the world, on the planet, and you want to go, what, because they don't teach it in schools? Huh? Is that what you're telling me? Fix up. Get it in your heads up. It's a reality check today. If you're going to go and sell, understand, it's a heightened, seasoned profession. If that's not your priority and you're not taking it seriously, your game is over before you've started. But when you can convert sales, you now have liquidity coming into your business. What does liquidity mean? Liquidity, what does it mean?
Money.
It means the bank manager is chasing behind you, not you chasing behind the bank manager. Am I wrong or right? Eh? It means money, it means cash flow. What is cash flow? The lifeblood of the business, right? So if you've got cash flow coming, what happens to the business? Does it grow or does it stagnate? Right. So you're not dreaming of sales now, you're actualizing sales. So what I suggest you do is pay attention to what you've got to do. Nothing wrong with what you're doing, I'm proud you said, but most people do that. They try one or two and that's it. Take it seriously, understand, mirror practice, role play, learn the game, understand the basic telephone techniques. The most cost-effective way is to pick up a phone, get a database, speak to people. You're doing constant research while you're doing it as well. Because you're speaking to people, you're communicating with people, you're getting feedback on your idea. What are you going to do? Wait till you get the right amount? I've got to position my product, it's got to look nice, it's got to look... Yeah, you sound like a woman getting dressed to go out to the gala. You understand? That's what we do, don't we? We dress it all up and we make it feel everyone's going to be interested. That's your perception. Go out and get other people's perception. Just do it. Yeah? I've gone out there, believe you me, and sold to people. You'd be shocked what I've gone out in boiler suits and a Second World War aircraft. I'm just for the kick of it. Just to prove that we could do it. I wore lots for 18 years in a profession that had never had any people of, so to say, subsistence in there. Right? But that's the reality of it. It's not you, it's your perception and the perception you put onto people. Thank you for your time. It's been wonderful.
Another round of applause for Vonley, please. So, again, we're short of time. So, one word from each row of Vonley's presentation. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Direct.
Passion.
Passion.
Moving.
Incredible. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to have a quick 10-minute question and answer session with Dean and Vonley. So, any burning questions you've got, I want to get out, please fire away.
Oh, no, this is just me and Vonley. The Q&A, this is me.
You're asking him?
Yeah, this is for Facebook Live.
Don't fire away.
You can ask, for those of you who got your tickets, you can ask Vonley all the questions over there. This is for the purpose of Facebook Live and some questions I want to be asking.
You got me now.
Finally. Yeah, finally. This has been a long time coming. Can we give Vonley a massive round of applause? And really and truly, having Vonley here is like having a superstar. He is massive within the game. He's been around for years. And the level of knowledge and wisdom that he has can, and it does, like, supremely help businesses grow, because he has been fantastic for me as my mentor. So thank you very much for conceding and finally admitting. You have? You have? You have?
No, I haven't. You said I conceded. What makes you think I conceded?
Because you're just sitting right here with me.
Yeah, well, that's not conceded.
Yeah.
That's your perception. Don't worry, we do this all the time.
Alright. Okay, I'm going to go straight into the questions I have for you, right? The first one. Can you explain, just break it down, the MIC model, what each of the letters stand for?
Okay. Well, let me just briefly give you a background and then went through it. The reason with the MIC model was what we found was conventional marketing. A lot of small entrepreneurs were starting out and said, do this, do that. Was soaking up a lot of money. A lot of money from people starting out. And then they had to go to the banks and get loans and this and that. You remember, some people were coming out of impoverished background. They're not coming out of rich background. They don't have the cash flow, trust funds and all these kind of things. So when we looked at the market, we had to find something that would become a solution to that. So what we did was we looked at it, and then I went to university over it and argued with lectures all day long and got a series of bad grades, believe you me. And just crawled through uni. And I found out at uni they were using a lot of outdated, unconventional models. in marketing that are not really applicable today, especially with the birth of the internet and viral and so on. So what we looked at, when they said you've got to target a market, which is your segmentation and so on, inform the market, gather your research, primarily second day, it wasn't really primary, and then the market itself, the concepts and such as it, and then educating the market. We thought, that's really expensive. So then we reversed that. So how about, from a seller's perspective, rather than talking at marketing, because marketing is really a glossed over word for selling, if you go out and educate your market, so you just take your product and go and sell it. And while you're selling it, people will educate you about what they think about the product or the concept, right? And you gather that information as you're going along. So that's why we brought in the education. That's the E. That's the E. The market itself is you going out there and feeling your market. Yes, things right, you've got to go out and do your secondary research and so on, but what about primary? How do you know? Now you might be right, but you need to solidify that. So how do you actually know? So the only way to get to know is to go out and do it. Right? So instead of sticking it in a plan like doing, saying, a 72-page plan, do something like your business plan canvas. Put that together and see it as an action plan and go out and do what you've got to do. And that will determine that. And then you'll gather information whilst you're doing that. You're gathering information on your particular target group. Then you can look at what your target is, your niche and so forth. Which then, if you have got a small budget, you can then apply it to that because you know that that's functional. So that's where it really came from. So the E was for educate. The M was for the market itself, the I was for information inform, and the T was for actually targeting the market. So we reversed conventional marketing and we created that model, which is emit, which means to emit yourself, release yourself from time, which is what we're living in. We're living in time, right? So it's quite interesting that was coming up earlier.
Thank you very much. This is one of my big questions, and this is what has come up to me. And people that I work with, they ask me this a lot, because I believe in the science and art of selling as much as you do. And if you're not selling and learning how to sell, I tell people all the time, stop doing your business. So they then ask me a simple question: okay, if I know nothing about selling, how do I get started?
Good question.
Well,
first of all, you've got to overcome the fear. Am I right? How many of you in there say, I don't do cold calling? Eh? Come on, be honest. Come on. Who does cold calling in there? Right, great. Now, who's actually looked at the psychology behind cold calling? The science of it. Who's looked at the American science? Everyone, right? Now, who's looked at the UK science? Who knows that the UK is the market leaders in cell sciences? All right, there's a great book for those who don't know. It's called by Neil Rackman. It's called Spin Selling. Go and get something like that because you've got to apply your craft. So you're right. To overcome the fear, you've just got to do it. All right, and it's like anything else. A baby learning to walk, or you going to school, or you've got to overcome that fear. And if you don't overcome it, the worst that they're going to say is no. And that's the most important thing that people fear is the word no. None of us like rejection. All right, but learn to accept rejection and learn to learn from rejection, because it's not really rejection. It's there. It's the better you get at your understanding what you're doing, the skill itself, is the more you'll communicate more effectively with people. So it's not really rejection. It's what you're saying is, I don't know enough about it, or I don't believe in you enough right now. Doesn't mean I can't come back to you later. And so if you're going along the way and building up a database and these what we call relationship, keep going. That's the key. Just keep going. Have a plan of action towards yourselves, what the knowledge that you want to acquire. But take it seriously. Knowledge based in selling is everything. Don't be scared to pick up the phone. Don't be scared to knock on people's doors. Don't be scared to actually go when you're going out networking to say what you are, who you are, and why you do it. Yeah, and you'll find over a period of time it will come. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, because some people have got it, and some people have got it in the toothbrush with it as well. Because you'll go to networking, and people will be there, and they'll be telling about their products, and you might want to say something, and you don't get the opportunity. So it's about effective communication, what being the same earlier. It's got to be asymmetric. So use your ears and ask the right questions, because good selling is all about proper questioning, appropriate questioning that lines them up, so you know already whether that person's suitable for your product.
Thank you for that. That's amazing. My next one is: do you think technology is actually helping or diminishing the art of selling?
Well, quite strange. We've actually come out just with the model on that now, so it's quite interesting. I think people think it is, because it's making things a lot more reactive. And I really come from a proactive background, so I've had to look at that. So I've picked one particular area, social media. All right, social media is effective if used in the right way. If you think it's going to go out and get you loads of money and become multi-millionaires on the webmaster programs, whatever, believe me, I've done. The over £500, it will tell you that you've near have gone down to next to zero if your products are over £500. Right? So you've got to start looking differently. What social media is good at doing is generating leads, inquiries. That's a very, very good tool for that. Right? So once you've generated the lead, you still have to pick up the phone. You've still got to speak to that person and close that business. So technology should be seen as a tool. Right? But the most effective form of communication is still going to always be face-to-face. Don't worry about it. Look at these youngsters now growing up on the social media. They're becoming brain dead. Their communication skills are absolutely atrocious. Right? We're in the age of communication, yet still youngsters can't communicate effectively. That will change. Because human nature says we have to communicate. So yes, it can work. I mean, I use virtual meeting platforms and whatever, but it's still technically face-to-face. It's just a medium that's allowing me to connect with someone halfway across the world. So there's the positive of it as well. You can now go global. Why does it your customers don't just have to be in the UK? Why can't they be all around the world? Why limit yourself? Because the product or service you're offering may not be appropriate for the UK, but might be appropriately in other parts of the world. So let's look at it from that perspective as well. So coming back to the question, yes, it is, as long as it's seen as a tool, not as the be-all and end-all, because then you're going to be in the holy grail. All right, and that's like Daniel was saying earlier. It's a graveyard, and you don't want to be stuck in that graveyard. The graveyard's got a lot of waste material. We're in the land of the living, right? So let's go out and live. Let's go out and make some sales.
All right, last question. What 3 tips would you like to leave the people on? I'll just say thank you so much, actually, because we've hit over 1,000 people today. So thank you to George and the whole team, Alex, Stephanie, and Daniel. So what would you like, 3 tips you'd like to leave the audience with here and the people on Facebook? So they can go out and do something in regards to something. All right, well, the best 3 tips I work from is 1, social capital. Right, develop. There's 3 types of capital, I believe in. The first one, you've got to think social. Have a strategy for how you're going to develop your relationships and so on, how you want to be seen, characteristics and all those kind of things. Right? The second one is the human capital. Skills, expertise. See yourself as an expert. Or what is it it's going to take you to become the expert? Like Danielle was saying earlier with the book. The book is a great PR tool, but the author becomes the authority. Lots and lots of white papers. So look at the way you can build up, also the skills that you need to develop your business as well. Plan big, put down the foundation for a mansion, even if you've only got a little teepee sitting on top of it. Alright? What we tend to do is we put down the foundation for a 2-bedroom house, terrace house, but we want a mansion to go on top of it. What happens? It all comes tumbling down. Because it's like we're chasing the game. Don't chase the game, embrace the game. It's a journey. And the last one is financial capital, because when the finance comes, you need to know how to manage it effectively, and you've got to have the wisdom to do that. Without the right social capital, without the right human capital, the finance will come and go. You're going to struggle with it. The last thing is you want to get the finance, and you've got to be looking, I've got to now get the skills and expertise, I've got to train my staff up to this, I've got to now go and build up this relationship with this community or this organisation. Build that as you go along. Make that part of the strategy going forwards. So it may not be instant gratification with the financial side, which is what most people go in business for. But think about social. I mean, there's one particular community I can think of. It took us over 5 years to develop a relationship with that community. But we took time and we set up a hub in there, and we're still there today. And now we're starting to see the benefits of that, because the relationship, because so many people came into that community, took from that community, and when they got what they wanted, they left it, and trashed it again. So their confidence was so poor. So those are the 3: social capital, human capital, and financial capital. And all 3 of those have a selling component. So think of how you're going to sell it. Okay? And that is the breakdown of it all. Remember, spirit, mind, and body. So look at it like that, in terms of that. Thank you so much. Give everybody a massive round of applause. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to do, final time, I'm going to turn to the person next to you, and I want you to tell them one thing you have learned so far that is resonating with you. Let's go.
Yeah.
Is it just this afternoon?
Yeah, the whole day. day, the whole day so far.
It's something that's probably very relevant to charity.
Cool. Cool. Yes, education, market, inform, Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start choosing. Is it Obina? Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm a bad man, I love it. So, one thing you got from today?
Really inspirational, you know, really encouraging. I like the 3Ds that you mentioned as well. What's it?
The 3Ds. Oh, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, all the speakers were amazing. Yeah.
I like that. Alright, Courtney. One thing you got from today, one thing that really stood out from you today.
One thing that really stood out, I need to rethink my selling. I didn't realise how major of a component it is. It's not just about how you sell yourself in interviews or how you chat up the girl down the road. Incorporating more into my business. So yeah, I'm just kind of reevaluating my structure. Thank you.
Victoria, what did one thing from today? Oh, Veronica. Is it Veronica? Oh man, Veronica, sorry. I was on point. Veronica, go ahead.
Yes, I have been kind of reminded in a lot of, especially global speakers, about how important it is to communicate what it is that we do. It's funny because I'm doing that all the time, but it kind of reminded me and refreshed my memory about communication, about marketing. For me, I do strategic marketing, so that was a lesson. Thank you very much for that lesson to remind me when I'm helping my clients with their marketing strategies, to really pick out those things that are very important.
All right, Usha.
I was going to say that what one you just said about marketing, that it's about educating the market first rather than get the budget and just being the win basically. Yeah, so that was interesting because it makes you an individual.
Yeah, most definitely. And let's by a show of hands, how many of you got at least one golden nugget today which can actually help your business? Okay, so exclusive visions, we've done our job. Thank you. All right. That was a happy moment. Guys, give me this. All right, so these are 3 things, okay, I want you to guarantee to do, because I don't just like to be up here and talking. You're going to do this. And here's the great thing. You're on my mailing list. And what's going to happen is I'm going to contact you. So I'm going to make sure when you've come here, you've actually put in work. Because I'm not about you just coming here and it sounds nice and you're clapping and you're high-fiving and put in the work, get the results. So these are the 3 things you must do. Go to a British Library, sign up if you haven't already. Look at your industry. Find, I know Vonley says, oh, don't do mentoring. I think mentoring is great. Love it. I've always been advocating. Find somebody within your industry who's on the next level above you and do what I did. Bother them. Go to them. And say, hey, I want you to mentor me so therefore I can move forward. Because some people, and especially there's a lot of entrepreneurs who have the passion, who have the determination, but you're lazy. Let's keep it 100. You are lazy. And some of you do need to be, you need someone to kick you up the bum. You need someone to hold your hand, someone you can check in with. And you know when you need to check in with them, you think, oh my God, I haven't done this. And after a while, you stop doing it. Isn't it, Darrell? Yeah. And it's important for you to have someone there until you're able to, until you become empowered and you're doing this by yourself. So find someone on the next level up. Don't do what I do and think, okay, you know what, I'm going to go for Richard Branson and he's definitely going to do it. Because they do get back to you and they tell you you're busy. It doesn't feel nice. The last one, yeah, education. Oh my God, I'm doing this right now. If you're not educating yourself within your business and within your niche, you're going to be in trouble, I'm telling you, because you're not doing it. I guarantee you there's 1,500 people that are. And you will be left behind within your own business, within your own niche. And I'm going to give you a quick example. There's someone I'm mentoring right now, I'm working with actually, they bought the Master the Basic package. And she came to me and she was like, oh my God, this is a wonderful idea, it's beautiful. I was like, okay, fantastic. No one else is doing this. This is fantastic. I'm going to help so many people. I said, I believe in the last thing. You're definitely going to help many people. But let's just go research your market for a second and come back and tell me, talk to me. She came back to me. She goes, there's about 3 or 4 people doing what I'm doing. I said, no, really? Did you research your market? No. What you're going to do, start researching. Make sure that I know what I'm talking about, because you do look stupid if you do not know what you're talking about. That being said, these are some books that I want you to go and get and read to start your journey. I got Francine actually bought 2 already. The Path of Financial Peace and the 10-Second Philosophy. I got 2 more. But these are some of the books again will just help you, ground you, and build that foundation. So my book, most definitely, The Path of Financial Peace, How to Win Friends and Influence People, 10-Second Philosophy, the E-Myth, and the One Thing. Go there, pick it up, get the knowledge. Just use it like a buffet, take what you want and leave behind what you don't need. Okay? And that's it, that's what we should do. So pick up these books and start educating yourself. Danny, we've got this at home.
It's for the audience.
Alright. So in the beginning I told you my signature package is a Master the Basic package. And this is for 90 days. I work with you, I empower you, I take you through your business model. I work with businesses that have been going to 1 and 5 years. I do not work with startups. So if you are a startup, unfortunately I cannot work with you right now. But what I want you to start thinking about, it's time for you to start investing within your business. And if you're not going to be doing it with me, is to start thinking about ways that you're going to start investing in your business and taking it forward. Start taking yourself more seriously. Am I good at what I do? Most definitely. Very, very good at what I do. But I always tell people, I guarantee, if I don't deliver on what I say, you get your money back. So if you're afraid that okay, you might lose your money, you never will, because I either will get you the result or I don't. If I don't, you get your money back, and therefore, okay, at least you know that you're going to get something, but you're not really losing out. This is an investment within you. This is how that's all it is. It's an investment. So, for those of you who buy today, you'll get some bonus on top of it, just to make it more nicer for yourself.
Your packages.
And
Is that one of your packages?
what's like this?
Yeah.
This is the 90 day. This is the Master of the Basic package. It says it right there in blue. Master of the Basics package. Right there.
I actually meant one of your bonuses, because you were saying about have different packages to offer to different people.
Oh, no,
So this is one of your extras, because you've come to the session today, you get an extra a bonus, which is an extra package. So
it's not an extra package. It's added incentive.
Yeah, that.
Added incentive.
That's what I
Okay,
meant,
thank you.
yeah.
Added, yeah, that's it.
That's
Okay.
attention.
Okay, thank you. So as I said, this is what you get it for. Today is $499. This is an investment. It is not you spending money, but investing your money. So if you are interested in getting the package today, please once again go to Alex, and Alex will make sure that you pay for the package today. And then after you get started with me in the next 90 days, you'll be in a much better position than you are today. That I guarantee. And that's it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, on that note, as Daniel was kind of slipping, I need everybody to fill out the feedback form. So, Darrell, can you come here, please? And do your final feedback. Darrell, can you come help me, please? There you go. Thank you very much. You have everyone a feedback form, and please, can you take your time to fill out your feedback form and give that back to, if you take it back over to Joel, that would be wonderful, or Darrell will come round and collect it again. Yvonne will definitely come around now to go get it finished.
One thing from me.
Oh, yeah.
You work with 1 year to 5 year business, right?
Yeah.
I do work with startups. So if you are a startup, you can't get a
I was actually going to say that. Thank you, Alex. Can I get my whole team to stand up? Can George, Daniel, and Alex stand up with me, please? Guys, can you come to the front? Can you come to the front?
And record at the same time.
Should I hold that?
You can't record us.
Yeah, hey, don't record the turn though. Alright. Can we give these guys a massive round of applause, please? No, guys, come on. Can we give them a massive round of applause, please? Alright. Can you give them, like, 30 seconds who you are and what you do?
My name is George. I'm a freelance graphic designer, so I provide marketing materials, promotion materials, logos, business cards for businesses, and basically anyone who's basically in need of it. And I saw if you have an event that you're doing, like for the young ones, and things like that, Snapchat filters. So anything in terms of creative design, I basically provide.
Thank you very much.
My name is Daniel Lister. I'm an author of multiple streams of inspiration. You can see my book here. I'm also an entrepreneur. I own a company called My Black Market where I help black-owned start-up businesses. I'm also on a fashion label. I also do trading. Yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
My list is not as interesting. I'm Alexander. I run a marketing company called Bow Under Management. So obviously we do branding, so it's some design work. Obviously I partner with George, and we do business development, so get investment for your business, sponsorship. We help you through the journey of the company, much like Dean does, but he does it a more comprehensive version of what we do, so obviously partner with him as well. And obviously do event planning, so venue acquisition, get you sponsors for your events. Basically anything to do with your company moving forwards. We have our partner companies, but we do it ourselves, so it's like a one-stop shop for your business.
Alright, here we go. I have to say thank you gentlemen so much for everything that you've done. Like, this is a new team, we'll come together, and we are going to make history real soon. So I'd like to say humbly from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate that this is our first event together. Well done, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
You say everything else. Thank you. On a different note, Danny. This is for you. This is for you.
Why are you looking at me?
No, I'm No, thank you so much. This is for you. Thank you so much because you are a part of, much as part of this and everybody else. You pushed me, you did work when I was sitting down watching cartoons. You actually supported me so much when my leg wasn't working for the last 4 or 5 days. You was there and you made this happen. Okay, cool. Alright. I almost finished now, it's okay.
Just because
Alright, so it's important for me to thank everybody who's involved because things like this will never happen if you don't appreciate the people that do support you. Thank you so much. Alright. It's my stage, man. Back to you.
You are the reason why.
Yeah. Stop. Alright, so please fill out your feedback forms. That is the last thing I need from you. For those of you, once again, who are interested in the Master Basic Package, please speak to Alex in regards to that. And thank you so much for being a fantastic audience. And that's it, that's all that. I guess clap for yourselves too.